What if everything we thought we knew about the first humans in North America is wrong? For decades, scientists believed people arrived around 13,000 years ago, but new evidence suggests humans were here thousands of years earlier. Hidden in the Oregon desert, archaeologists uncovered something extraordinary: ancient tools, butchered animal remains, and evidence dating back more than 18,000 years. If that's true, it doesn't just change the timeline. It rewrites the entire story. Welcome to Zero File, where we reopen the chapters of history the world thought were settled. In 2011, archaeologists from the University of Oregon's Museum of Natural and Cultural History embarked on a groundbreaking excavation at Rimrock Draw Rock Shelter, a shallow cave situated just outside the small, quiet town of Riley in the rugged, high desert terrain of central Oregon. This remote and striking landscape immediately suggested to researchers that the site could hold extraordinary secrets buried beneath its ancient surface. Employing advanced archaeological techniques and cutting-edge technology, the team carefully and methodically began uncovering layers of history hidden within the earth. Their initial surface findings immediately hinted at something truly remarkable. Scattered across the site were fascinating animal remains, carefully crafted stone tools, and weapons constructed from unique and distinctive materials, strongly suggesting that Rimrock Draw was potentially an exceptionally rich and historically significant source of ancient human artifacts. For decades, the dominant scientific explanation for how humans first arrived in the Americas was the Clovis culture theory. This widely accepted model proposed that the earliest humans crossed from Siberia into North America via Beringia, the ancient Bering land bridge, migrating through an ice-free corridor between two massive glacial ice sheets approximately 13,000 years ago. However, compelling new evidence has begun seriously challenging this long-held theory. Recent studies reveal that this ice-free corridor likely did not fully open until between 11,000 and 12,000 years ago and remained essentially uninhabitable for centuries afterward, making it an increasingly unlikely migration route for the earliest Americans. This has led researchers to propose an fascinating alternative explanation called the Kelp Highway hypothesis, suggesting that early humans instead traveled by boat along the Pacific coastline, navigating through a remarkably rich coastal ecosystem abundant with kelp forests, seals, and shellfish, potentially predating the corridor's opening entirely. The discovery of Meadowcroft Rock Shelter in Pennsylvania dramatically transformed scientific understanding of early human presence in North America. With artifacts carefully dated to at least 16,000 years ago, Meadowcroft became recognized as the previously identified oldest known human occupation site on the continent, delivering a powerful and significant challenge to the established Clovis first theory. Adding further compelling weight to this growing body of evidence, Cooper's Ferry in Idaho emerged as another remarkable pre-Clovis site, also dated to approximately 16,000 years ago, providing additional proof that humans were already present throughout North America, long before the ice-free corridor even opened. Together, these two extraordinary sites collectively strengthen the Kelp Highway hypothesis, building a persuasive scientific case that the earliest Americans likely migrated southward along the rich and resource-abundant Pacific coastline rather than traveling through a harsh and uninhabitable inland glacial corridor. Among the most extraordinary discoveries made at Rimrock Draw were fragments of camel teeth and jaw bones belonging to Camelops hesternus, commonly known as yesterday's camel. This magnificent prehistoric creature stood an impressive 7 feet tall at the shoulder and weighed nearly 1,800 pounds, representing a fascinating chapter in North America's rich evolutionary history, as camels actually originated on this continent before spreading elsewhere. However, what made this particular discovery truly remarkable was the compelling evidence suggesting deliberate human involvement. Researchers identified clear and distinctive human butchering markings carefully etched onto the bones, and critically, stone tools were discovered in direct association with the remains, strongly distinguishing this from any natural animal death. This powerful combination of evidence pointed unmistakably toward a targeted kill and deliberate processing event, establishing this discovery as an absolutely critical piece of evidence confirming early human occupation at Rimrock Draw Rock Shelter. A truly pivotal breakthrough in understanding Rimrock Draw's extraordinary timeline came through the scientific process of Tephrochronology, a remarkable technique where volcanic ash from each individual eruption carries its own unique chemical fingerprint, allowing scientists to precisely distinguish between separate volcanic events and establish accurate chronological timelines for archaeological sites. At Rimrock Draw, researchers identified a distinctive ash layer originating specifically from Mount St. Helens Set S eruption, a massive and powerful volcanic event that occurred over 15,600 years ago. This ancient ash had effectively sealed and perfectly preserved the camel teeth and associated artifacts beneath it, acting as a natural chronological vault. The profound significance of discovering these remains beneath this specific volcanic layer was immediately clear, as it conclusively established that the camel remains and accompanying artifacts must predate this enormous eruption by at least 15,600 years, powerfully setting the stage for even more precise radiocarbon dating analysis. To further refine their understanding of Rimrock Draw's remarkable timeline, geologists and geochemists applied sophisticated radiocarbon dating techniques directly to the recovered camel tooth enamel, producing a truly staggering and history-rewriting result of approximately 18,250 years before present. In scientific convention, before present, or BP, is carefully calibrated against the year 1950, a standardized reference point chosen specifically because it marks both the beginning of widespread radiocarbon dating practices and the critical moment just before extensive nuclear weapons testing began contaminating global carbon-14 levels, which would have compromised dating accuracy forever. The profound significance of this extraordinary 18,250 BP date cannot be overstated. This remarkable finding places confirmed human occupation at Rimrock Draw more than 5,000 years before the previously dominant Clovis culture, making it the oldest, definitively confirmed human occupation site ever discovered throughout all of North America at the time of its groundbreaking discovery. Among the remarkable artifacts recovered from Rimrock Draw were beautifully and finely crafted stone scrapers fashioned from striking orange agate, a material highly prized by early toolmakers for its exceptional conchoidal fracture properties, which allow it to be skillfully shaped into extraordinarily sharp edges remarkably similar to glass. What made this discovery particularly significant and scientifically compelling was that orange agate does not occur naturally within the immediate basalt walls surrounding the shelter itself, conclusively indicating that these early human inhabitants either deliberately traveled considerable distances specifically to gather this superior material or actively engaged in trading relationships with other groups to obtain it. This deliberate and thoughtful selection of orange agate as a preferred tool-making material powerfully reflects a sophisticated level of technological knowledge and deep regional familiarity, strongly suggesting these remarkable early humans spent substantial time in the surrounding area, carefully discovering, thoroughly testing, and repeatedly returning to exploit the very best available natural resources. Perhaps the single most compelling piece of evidence recovered from Rimrock Draw came through sophisticated residue analysis performed on one of the distinctive orange agate scrapers. Scientists successfully detected ancient bison blood residue preserved on the tool's surface, immediately recognized as the definitive smoking gun evidence of deliberate early human activity at the site. The remarkable survival of these ancient blood proteins over thousands of years is explained by a fascinating scientific process whereby biological residues become permanently trapped within the microscopic fissures and tiny cracks of stone tools, effectively shielded from destructive bacteria and damaging ultraviolet light, gradually fossilizing and preserving the residue across vast stretches of millennia. The likely species involved was identified as Bison antiquus, the considerably larger ancient ancestor of the modern American buffalo. This extraordinary evidence of large game butchering, powerfully combined with the previously discovered camel remains, paints a remarkably vivid and detailed picture of the sophisticated hunting strategies and diverse subsistence practices employed by the earliest human inhabitants of Rimrock Draw. Further strengthening the already extraordinary case for ancient human occupation at Rimrock Draw was the remarkable discovery of a second orange agate scraper buried even deeper within the volcanic ash layer, its profound stratigraphic position providing compelling additional evidence of sustained human presence well before Mount St. Helens' catastrophic Set S eruption. Understanding this significance requires appreciating the fundamental geological principle known as the law of superposition, which states that in completely undisturbed sediment layers, the oldest materials are always found deepest at the bottom, with progressively younger deposits accumulating above. Applying this essential principle to Rimrock Draw's carefully documented layering reveals something truly extraordinary. Some archaeologists directly involved in the project have argued persuasively that the site may be approaching or potentially surpassing an astonishing 20,000 years old, emphasizing that the 18,250 BP date derived from the camel tooth actually represents only a conservative minimum age, since that tooth was discovered positioned above the deepest recovered artifacts. Placing Rimrock Draw's extraordinary human occupation within its broader environmental context reveals just how remarkably resilient and adaptable these earliest Americans truly were. During the last glacial maximum, massive continental ice sheets had reached their greatest thickness. Global ocean levels sat hundreds of feet lower than today, and Central Oregon's landscape would have appeared dramatically and almost unrecognizably different from its current high desert terrain, likely featuring cooler temperatures, different vegetation patterns, and dramatically altered ecosystems. Yet despite these extraordinarily harsh and challenging conditions, early humans were actively and successfully hunting, butchering, and carefully processing enormous large game animals, including the massive Camelops histernus and powerful Bison antiquus, right here at Rimrock Draw during the absolute peak of the last ice age. This remarkable evidence of human occupation during the last glacial maximum connects powerfully to the broader narrative of early American migration, further strengthening alternative theories like the Kelp Highway hypothesis. Since maintaining a presence this far inland during such extreme conditions strongly suggests these people had already established themselves along the Pacific coast considerably earlier. Rimrock Draw Rock Shelter has fundamentally and permanently transformed our understanding of early human history in North America. The extraordinary combination of Camelops histernus camel teeth dated to an astonishing 18,250 BP, finely crafted orange agate stone scrapers carrying preserved bison blood residue, and the precisely identified volcanic ash layer from Mount St. Helens' Set S eruption collectively establish Rimrock Draw as the oldest confirmed human occupation site ever discovered throughout North America. Most significantly, this remarkable site predates the Clovis culture by more than 5,000 years, powerfully challenging traditional Bering land bridge and ice-free corridor migration theories, while strongly supporting the Kelp Highway hypothesis and raising the extraordinary possibility of human presence approaching, or even exceeding 20,000 years ago. If this journey into one of history's most controversial discoveries changed the way you see the past, then you've just opened another chapter inside the Zerophile archives. Because here, we don't just revisit history. We question it, we challenge it, and sometimes we rewrite it.